All right, you're welcome back to the football show. Should be quite an evening at Anfield tomorrow. Liverpool against Bayern Munich in the last 16 of the Champions League. To look ahead to it, we're joined by German football writer Uli Hesse. Evening, Uli.
Good evening, hi.
So looking at how Bayern Munich are shaping up ahead of the trip to Merseyside, on the one hand, they look to be plagued by injuries right now. Arjen Robben, Tolisso, Boateng, Muller. Ribery hasn't been with the squad, though he's expected he may still play after his wife gave birth over the course of the weekend. So they're the negatives from a Bayern point of view. The positives are they've won 9 of their last 10 games, and after a really difficult spell for Niko Kovac, a sense that maybe they're finally starting to come good. Which side would you come down on?
First of all, that's a very good description of sort of the situation and the mood they're in. I mean, when the draw was made, they were really, really struggling in the league, and Liverpool was doing really well. So what has been quoted quite often these past weeks was Dietmar Hamann said. Dietmar Hamann, the former Liverpool player, who said that when the draw was made, he considered Bayern Munich total outsiders against Liverpool, and that I think that has changed. That's no longer quite the perception.
Just on the Didi Hamann there, so he does some work over here as well on Irish television during the Champions League and over international tournaments. He's also a pretty prolific pundit, is he, in Germany as well, and seems to be one of the more outspoken critics of Bayern Munich. Yeah,
well, it caused a bit of a stir recently when he said that Lewandowski could become a problem for Bayern Munich. He was mainly referring to his body language and his reputation as a bit of, not a total team player. And that caused quite an uproar, and Bayern were really angry. I mean, he's since toned down that statement. But you're right, he's quite outspoken. And it used to be quite funny, because when in the past, whenever Liverpool would be discussed, he would always say we. And then suddenly he remembered and tried to say Liverpool. So yeah, maybe that's why he said that. He's still a Liverpool guy at heart. Red.
On that criticism then of Robert Lewandowski, which is surprising when you look at the bare statistics of Lewandowski: 24 goals in 28 games this season, 8 and 6 in the Champions League. He was in sensational form come the end of the group stages. But is there a sense when you listen to the talk from Hamann about Lewandowski looking out for himself at the moment, that maybe that's coming from inside the Bayern camp? Like, is there a sense that there is that individualistic streak to Lewandowski that seems to wind people up?
Well, I don't think that Hamann's remarks don't reflect, I think, what is felt at the club. That doesn't come from the club, because quite a few people immediately pointed out that he's actually become more of a team player in the last couple of years. He's never had a reputation as being, he's not one for kissing the badge, and telling he always wanted to play for the club. It was with Lewandowski, it's always clear that he's a total professional, but, he is, famously, for instance, where he scored 4 goals for Borussia Dortmund against Real Madrid. And then during his goal celebration, he held up 4 fingers. So it was, because it was a magnificent performance, great goals, but he immediately knew, I've just scored 4 goals against Real Madrid. That's me, So he's always been that kind of guy. And as you said, the stats don't really bear that out, what Hamann has said. I mean, he's really good. Plus, he's very important to the team, I mean, you mentioned the injuries already and the suspension to Thomas Müller. Now, this is the guy, if he gets injured, they have a real problem. They basically have no stand-in for him.
The turnaround in form then over the last few months, and that have put them at least back in contention for the Bundesliga title and put them hot on the heels of Borussia Dortmund, and at least now they can really put some pressure on them over the closing months of the season. What sparked that turnaround? Is it Kovac getting to grips with managing a club the size of Bayern Munich? Is it certain players hitting form, understanding what he wants for them? Has there been some key moments over the last couple of months that have seen this turnaround happen?
As always, I think it's a combination of many things. It was also, you have to say that, at one point it had to happen, these guys, I mean, most of them have probably forgotten how many times they've already won the league in a row, So I think they, especially because nobody really fancied Dortmund at the beginning of the season, at least not, as a real title contender. think maybe they just, with a new coach coming in, they just slacked off a little bit, if that's an English term, I don't know, just relaxed just a little bit. There were some games, for instance, this famous game against Düsseldorf, where they raced into a 3-1 lead and then were held to a draw at home. That was very, very un-Bayern Munich-like, So I think that game was a good indication of where the problems were.
And then, listen, he's gone a while now, but is there still a Guardiola hangover then among some of these players, where it was so intense for so long under Guardiola that now that he's gone, look, he's been gone 3 years nearly at this stage, you would think that they'd be well over it, but that there's still a sense of, finally we can relax?
Well, probably not, because Ancelotti was there. That's what most people said, that was the main reason they brought Ancelotti in, who's a very, most players really, really like him, and he's a total laid-back type of guy. So they probably had their, feel-good year for the players under Ancelotti.
Yeah. So what can we expect then from Bayern tomorrow night, with all these injuries, with Thomas Muller being out suspended? What's the expectation of what sort of starting 11 they're going to go with?
Yeah, the funny thing is, that we're a month away from Brexit or whatever, and suddenly it's the Germans who are a bit, don't know what to make of Europe. Dortmund had this problem against the Spurs. Schalke, I think, are really hoping, that Man City will somehow take it easy on them, and Bayern fall somewhere in between, because, like we said, they're feeling more confident right now. But I think most people agree that that the worst case that could befall them is that they fall behind against Liverpool, because even now that they're more confident, even now that things are working out better than they did before, they still have a few major key problems that won't go away. For instance, there is a lack of pace. Niklas Süle is now basically a starting central defender. The main reason for that is that he's really fast. For a central defender, because Mats Hummels is not the fastest defender in the world, and they've been hurt again and again this season by pace, not just away at Dortmund, also in the Düsseldorf game we mentioned. So that's a major concern for them, how to stop that Liverpool forward line that is so immensely fast.
The opportunity, though, for Bayern is that if you can get an away goal at Anfield, it could give them a huge advantage heading back to the Allianz Arena, and particularly tomorrow night when there's no Virgil van Dijk, there's no Dejan Lovren. It looks as though Fabinho may well have to start at centre half. Do you think those problems for Liverpool mean that maybe Kovac will go with a slightly more ambitious game plan than otherwise he would have?
Yes, they won't be totally defensive or anything like that. Also because, apart from pace, the other big problem is Klopp's pressing game. They know they can't defend too deep. And of course, an away goal would be fantastic for them. I think all in all, it's just they themselves, Bayern, have become more confident. And it's also that there is a general feeling that Liverpool are no longer as dominant as they used to be a couple of weeks or even months ago. So it was perfectly reflected, in the Kicker poll they did today, Kicker, the German sports magazine. I think there were 40,000 readers were polled, and they're about divided, half-half. I mean, it's a slight majority for Liverpool going through, but, it would have been, 70-30, back when Bayern were really, really struggling.
It's obviously a huge tie as well for Jurgen Klopp, considering his history going up against Bayern Munich, and this sliding doors moment, a decade ago now, when they had a choice of two Jurgens, basically Bayern Munich, and they went with Jurgen Klinsmann instead of Jurgen Klopp in what will go down as a pretty fatal error of judgment from the Bayern Munich board. What's the sense in Germany of where Klopp goes after Liverpool? Do you sense that one day he may still end up at Bayern Munich, or that actually, because of his past with Dortmund, because of the fact he was turned down that time, that actually they'll always be the enemy for him?
No, I don't think so. I wouldn't put it beyond him. Back when that offer was made, it was a very slight offer. I think Hoeneß was the man who wanted him, whereas Rummenigge wanted the other Jurgen. I think he felt flattered, but he didn't regard it as a real job offer, because he was a second division coach at the time. But what he does is he picks his clubs wisely. And he really, he comes across as a football romantic at times, and he really is that. I think he would be aware that if he joins Bayern, he cannot do anything that hasn't been done before. So really, where's the point in that? The money will be good, but I suppose that's not the main motivation for him. So I don't really see him coaching Bayern, but for different reasons, not for any, it's not that he has anything against the club.
With what Klopp has been achieving over the last couple of seasons with Liverpool, is there increased affection for him in Germany?
Excuse me, what?
Is there a lot more love for Jurgen Klopp in Germany now with what he's been doing at Liverpool, and maybe appreciation for his coaching talents?
Yes, his coaching talents were always respected. And in Dortmund, of course, I keep saying that during his press conference where he announced that he would step down at the end of the season, I was receiving text messages from people saying, I already missed the guy. So in Dortmund, it was always, he's... but most of the rest of the country, to tell the truth, had grown a bit tired of his antics,
right.
And he seems to have toned down on that. He's no longer quite as
This is the toned down version, is it?
Yeah, this is the toned down version. Yeah, you should look up some footage on YouTube. It was much worse. He himself says so. I met him a couple of months ago when he said that, contrary to popular opinion and expectation, he had somehow grown up.
So what's your expectation then tomorrow night?
I don't expect a goal fest. I expect a close and tense game. And I think Liverpool will edge it 1-0. All
right. And I guess then looking ahead to Wednesday night and Manchester City against Schalke, as you say, City are overwhelming favourites. They're favourites for the Champions League. Is this just a case from Schalke's point of view of somehow try and stay in it till the second leg?
Yeah, well, as I said earlier, most Schalke fans just hope that City will somehow take it easy. They know it would be a major miracle if they could, progress, especially with the way their season is going, They're playing some terrible football at the moment, to tell the truth.
All right, Uli, great stuff. Thanks a lot for talking to us.
Okay, it's been my pleasure. Thank you.